friends, welcome to or welcome back to the channel Jane Reads. My name is Jeanette, and today I have a recommendations video along with some possibilities that I might read for one of the prompts for September for my Christian fiction bingo. So here is the bingo board. I have not added any covers yet. I'm actually kind of waiting until the end and then I'll put them all on. I have penciled in what I've read for that prompt. So, I mean, I've kept up on it, but so September's two prompts are transportation on the cover and in a series. So I will tell you which books have transportation on the cover and are in a series that you could read, or you could read two separate books. I most likely will read two separate books. And I did not have a booktuber for September that had a birthday in September when I was creating this bingo. So if you are a booktuber and have a birthday in September, please let me know so that I can plan for next year. So I chose transportation on the cover for the September prompt because usually my husband and I do a vacation in September, and usually it is a road trip. Of course, this year it's not going to be. We're not having vacation in September, and it's not going to be a road trip. Well, yeah. I mean, we are having vacation in September. I shouldn't say that. But it's not going to be a road trip per se. But we will still be driving somewhere at some point during that week. So, I mean, it still fits in a way. Okay, so let's get to the books. I don't even know my exact number because I had my sheet written out and then I pulled a few extra off my shelves. I was like, wait, this one has transportation. So I'm not sure exactly how many I have to recommend to you. I did try to get majority of genres that I have on my shelf, but I really kind of failed at that. I have a few romantic suspense, one contemporary romance, and the rest are historical fiction. So we're going to go with the contemporary romance first. This is The Heart Between Us by Lindsay Harrel. As you can see, it has a car on the cover along with a bunch of other stuff, but a car. And this one is about somebody receiving a heart and then trying to fulfill the bucket list for the donor of the heart. Very interesting, very emotional, but really good, and includes travel in. So then the next few are historical fiction. And so we have Across the Blue by Carrie Turansky. This is a standalone and it has a plane on the cover. This is set in England in the early 1900s. Yes, 1909. And we are following our female character, what is her name? Isabella, who wants to be a journalist at her father's newspaper. And then we have James. It is James, wow. Who is a young pilot who is trying to fly across the English Channel. And there's a competition because this is the early days of flying. This is so good. I really, really enjoyed this one. Then we have a duology, and that is The McAllister Family by Carrie Turansky. Book one is No Ocean Too Wide. As you see, it has a ship on the cover. And book two is No Journey Too Far, which has a train on the cover. So you could read one of these to fit both prompts, or you could binge the series and use one for each prompt. I absolutely love these books. Book one is definitely my favorite, but I also really enjoyed book two. Again, it starts in England in the early 1900s. We are following the McAllister siblings. The oldest daughter is off working at an estate away from the younger siblings. The younger siblings are with their mom. Their mom gets sick. The younger siblings get sent to an orphanage, and through things that happen, the younger siblings then get shipped over to Canada and split up. And so then the oldest sister comes to try to find the siblings. And then book 2 picks up, follows this one to this one doesn't fully end. The story continues in book 2. I read this as an advanced reader copy in, let me check, in 2019. And I loved it so much, but book 2 was not out and I had to wait. I was so mad. It's like, how dare I? So then when book 2 came out, I reread book 1 and immediately read book 2. Highly recommend this series. Then we have another historical fiction, kind of along the similar theme, and it is book 1 in the Orphan Train series. This is With You Always by Jody Hedlund. It has a train on the cover. This one is set in America, and we are following a family of siblings who have lost their parents. So the older siblings are trying to raise the younger siblings and trying to make a way for them. The oldest sibling goes out west to try to earn some funds to send back to the rest of the siblings to then come with her out west. Highly enjoyed this book as well. I was so invested in the characters and the care for each other and like the stuff that happens. I binged this series because I was so invested in all the characters. Highly recommend it. And another book that I absolutely loved but is a standalone is The Women of Oak Ridge by Michelle Shocklee. This has a bicycle on the front. This is a dual timeline set in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We've got 1944 where we're following Maybelle, who comes to work at the K-25 factory to raise money, send home to her parents who are just outside Tennessee somewhere, or just outside Oak Ridge somewhere. Then in 1979, we have Laurel, who is Maybelle's niece, who comes for the summer during a college break, teaching break. She's working on her thesis. And she comes and stays with Maybelle for the summer to kind of learn about that time of history in Oak Ridge and what was it like keeping this secret about building the atomic bomb, having a part of it, and Maybelle doesn't want to talk about it and why. And the two stories connect so well. I really enjoyed this. Okay, another historical fiction, but World War II, is Until Our Time Comes by Nicole M. Miller. This has a horse on the cover, and I'm counting that as transportation because that is how they got around. They were trying to save these horses, and they were riding them as they moved them from one farm to another area of the country to try to save them from the Germans. This book starts at the beginning of World War II, but it encompasses a number of years. And we are following this American female who is in Poland. I'm pretty sure it's Poland. Yes. Who is in Poland as a trainer for the horses. And then she is determined to save these horses when the Germans invade. Then we have a British intelligence officer. British, is he an intelligence officer? Who works for the MI5. So yeah, I guess he would be. Who is in the area for another reason, and the two end up having to work together to try to get these horses. And we're following them as they're traveling across the country trying to save the horses and what goes on. There's also a little boy that she is trying to care for throughout. Really enjoyed the story. Okay, Then, staying with World War II, we've got A Distant Melody by Sarah Sundin. This is book 1 of the Wings of Glory series, and it has a plane on the cover. We are following Wyatt. Is that his name? Walt? Walt, who is a pilot, and Allie, who is on the home front. And she is supposed to get married to this guy that her parents have picked out for her. She is not interested and has feelings for Walt. But how do they move forward? And they start writing letters to each other as they get to know each other. And Walt knows that she is basically engaged to this guy. And he's trying to encourage her through that, help her. He doesn't know what's going to go on with the war, right? And so it's not a friendship builds, like with really no direction for romance. It's friendship building. And so, yeah, I was so invested in these characters, and I loved the jump between the California homefront scenes with Allie and then the England scenes with Walt being overseas. Highly encourage it. This is another series that I binged after I finished this book. I immediately moved on to book 2 and 3. Now I have a full series because each book in the series has a horse on the cover, and at this time in history, horse was their mode of transportation. So that is the Hanger's Horseman series by Karen Witemeyer. So if you've already started the series, you could continue the series. If you haven't started the series, start with book 1. So we meet 4 men, 5 men? I think it's 4 men. 1, 2. Yeah, I think it's 4 men who are part of this Hanger's Horseman group. And basically they're trying to, what are they trying to do? So they are, the main one in book 1, Matthew, is an ex-cavalry officer, and they are mercenaries trying to defend the innocent and obtain justice for the oppressed. But when a rustler's bullet leaves one of them at death's door, they are the ones in need of saving. And so then we've got Dr. Josephine, who enters and gets involved with the group, and we're following a romance. So this is a historical romance. This is set in the late 1800s. So book 1 is At Love's Command. There's the horse. Book 2 is The Heart's Charge. In this one, we are following 2 of the members of the Hanger's Horsemen, and they each find romance kind of together but separately. It's really interesting, so well done, and I loved following 2 romances happening. And then book 3 is In Honor's Defense, and you got to look way off, kind of in the distance, is the horses for him. And this one, again, it's another romance. There is a young child, not really a young child. I think he's 14-year-old involved as well. So kind of an older sister trying to take care of the younger brother, or maybe it's an aunt trying to take care of the nephew. Yeah, it's been a little bit since I've read it. But yeah, highly recommend this series. Okay, let's go into romantic suspense. And I think all these, nope. I was going to say they all have the same mode of transportation on the cover, but they do not. 3 have the same mode of transportation. Okay, so the first one is Evidence of Mercy, but I felt like I said that name wrong. Evidence of Mercy by Terri Blackstock. This is book 1 in the Suncoast Chronicles series, and it has a plane on the cover. And we are following 2 people who meet when a lawyer is trying to sell her plane and somebody wants to buy that plane. So both of these people are pilots in private life. They go up in the plane, and very quickly it looks like the plane is going to crash. And then we follow kind of the after effect of that, how their lives change, how they end up working together, getting to know each other, build a friendship. really, really enjoyable. And there's a lot of faith talk throughout this because one has faith but has been struggling and one does not believe at all. And we watch them process everything that's going on and become a Christian in the end. Then we have Final Approach by Lynette Eason. This is book 4 of the Lake City Heroes series. There is a plane on the cover. So again, only read this one if you've already read the first 3 books in the series. Just to get to know the characters a little bit more. It is a standalone, like it doesn't carry over stories from the first 3 books, but the characters do carry over for like the friendships between various characters. So kind of hesitant recommending it on its own. And then, but we do have a Lynette Eason that is a book 1, and that is Lifelight. This is book 1 of the Extreme Measures series. There is a helicopter on the cover, and we are following Penny, is that her name? Yes, who is an EMS helicopter pilot. And then we have an FBI agent who is on a mountain trying to find an escaped serial killer. And Penny's helicopter runs into mechanical issues and she needs to land on this mountain, not knowing that this fugitive hunt is happening on the ground. So she has her own emergency going on and ends up involved or in the area of another emergency. And we see the 2 of them kind of have to work together to kind of help each other out and get out of these emergencies. And the last book is Among the Innocent by Mary Alford. This one has a horse buggy on the cover. This one is set in an Amish area. We are following, what is her name? Leah? Yes. We are following Leah, who grew up Amish, but then her family was murdered and she was taken in by an English family in that area. She ends up becoming a police officer, and then some mysterious stuff is happening at an Amish farm, and they request Leah because they know her and trust her. And so they request her to get involved. And then we've got a stalker for Leah, and does it link back to what happened with her family in the past and what's going on right now? This could be a little gruesome because there's a lot of blood, detail, like bloody scenes that happening. We are dealing with the serial killer. But I was so invested and I loved it. And I loved the way, like, kind of the Amish was described and how Leah understood them and trying to, like, reconcile her Amish background with her English now. Really enjoyed this. This was a 5-star read for me. Okay, so those are all my recommendations. Now, possibilities for me to read. I actually own quite a few that would fit this prompt, and majority of them are bicycles on the cover, which means probably they're historical fiction. I think all my recommendations or all my possibilities are historical fiction. They don't all have bikes, but they're all historical fiction. My stack is backwards from my list, but that's okay. We will figure this out. Okay, so the first one I do not own a physical copy of, and that is Mist Over the Channel Islands by Sarah Sundin. This is a standalone World War II, has a bicycle on the cover. That's about all I can really tell you about it off the top of my head. Then we have Love Me Tender by Janice Hanna. This has a car on the cover. This is also considered historical fiction, but it is set in 1957. And I don't really know a whole lot about it, but Debbie determines to salvage her family's restaurant, Sweet Sal's Soda Shop, from financial ruin when her father's health fails. Help is in the sight when teen heartthrob Bobby Conrad agrees to perform at a fundraiser concert. But just 2 weeks before the highly publicized event, plans fall through and Bobby cannot come. Enter Johnny Hartman, a young, unknown singer. What's going to happen? So, there's that one. Then we have Along a Storied Trail by N.H. Gabhart. This one has a horse. It is following a pack horse librarian. Another historical fiction in Kentucky. Kentucky pack horse librarian Tansy doesn't mind the rough trails and long hours as she serves her Appalachian Mountain community during the Great Depression. Yet, she longs to find love like the heroines in the books she loves. When a charming writer comes to town, she thinks she might have found it. Or is the perfect man actually closer than she thinks? I'm really intrigued in this one because I love the idea of a pack horse librarian who loves books set in Kentucky. Like, I really want to read this one. Okay, then we have Alaska Twilight by Colleen Coble. This is not historical fiction. This is romantic suspense. And it has a canoe on the cover. That is the mode of transportation. Just getting from one side of the lake to the other side of the lake. I don't know, but yeah. So for some people, Alaska is a breathtaking wilderness adventure full of light and beauty. For Haley, it is a dangerous world of dark dreams and tortured memories. On the surface, she's here to document wildlife activist Kip's bear encounters, but her real reason is to unearth the truth about a past murder. Okay, then we have An Uncertain Road by Abby Downey. Another historical fiction. It has a car on the cover. This is book 1 in a series, which I did not write the series name down, and I didn't write anything down about this book. So here's the cover. Then we have Where We Belong by Kim Vogel Sawyer. This one has a train on the cover. It's another historical fiction. Again, I didn't write down anything about this book. But I remember when I first saw this announcement video for it coming out, I was like, oh, I want to read this one. It just sounds very similar to With You Always by Jody Hedlund that I really enjoyed, kind of the orphan train thought. I don't know for sure if that's what this is what it's about, but I'm very intrigued. The cover really caught me. Okay, then we have A Rose for the Resistance by Angela Couch. This has a bike on the cover. This is part of the Heroines World War II series, so it's another historical fiction. A French woman and a German soldier form a truce. Then another one in that series is The Escape Game by Marilyn Turk. Another bicycle on the cover, but it also has a plane on the cover. And it says, a board game holds keys to prisoners' escape. What? And another one in that series of the Heroines of World War II is On My Honor by Patti Smith Hall. It has a bicycle on the cover and planes again. And it says, a Girl Scout troop joins the Battle of the Atlantic. And then the last book also has a bicycle on the cover, and that is Chasing Shadows by Lynn Austin. I don't really know much about this one. It's historical fiction, and I think it's also, let me see, does it tell me what year? So it starts in 1945, and then picks up, it goes back to 1939. So I would say World War II. It says, the lives of 3 women change instantly when the Nazis invade the neutral Netherlands, forcing them into a complicated dance of choice and consequence. So we will see. So those are my possibilities. There's a few of them, as I said. Plus there's a couple that I don't even own physically that I have on my Kindle. And then a bunch of recommendations for you. Have you read any of my possibilities? And which one should I put at the top of my list if you have one to recommend? Or have you decided what book you want to read for Transportation on the Cover? When you hear that prompt, is there a book that automatically that book that, you would either recommend to somebody or that you want to read? I would love to chat in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.